Oh, they're on.
But when they added the Boreal, they added a new mutation as well called Corvid, but they don't have anything out for it yet.
Oh, interesting.
So the mutation's to be dated. See, permafrost is 9.5.
Yep. Which was 10, but then they nerfed it down and then buffed Fab to be 9.6. So Fab is right above Perma.
Astrius is 9.6.
Yep, they have it equal with Fab at the moment. And like, I mean, I've said it and I'm still going to say it. I still wholeheartedly believe at some point they're going to nerf it just under. Just not yet. But right now, like I said, your three top rods, I feel like North Pole has kind of knocked Romanus down just a bit. And I think it's kind of taken its spot, given the fact that the multiplier is higher as well. So it's both good for money and it's good for aquarium. So I'm gonna suspect that the top three rods that are gonna be is gonna be your try hard, Fab, of course, still those two, and then gonna be North Pole, and then Romanus. I think North Pole's probably come up right above Romanus now. Before it used to just be Fab, try hard, and Romanus were the top three rods, both for money making and for your aquarium.
Still 9 times.
Right. Right. So that's why I said I'm pretty sure North Pole is gonna knock in the community side is gonna knock that one down one.
The darkness is 9.4.
What does that one come off of again?
Darkness rod.
It's not called darkness. It's
Sword of Darkness.
Sword of Darkness. Yeah, that's 9.4, but you also got to take into consideration too the actual mutation chances, the rates, and how frequently they proc in comparison. And that's where, like, when I'm looking at rods specifically, why I also still love Dreambreaker when it comes to money making. And that's where, to a degree, Ruinous is still a really good one because it procs, as long as you can run it, it procs every single time that you can run it correctly. And that's why I love Dreambreaker, because Dreambreaker, the strat procs constantly. It's a very frequent proc. Where Fabulous, even though it was one of the top three from what I've heard, where I physically have not had that one yet, it doesn't proc very consistently.
Fabulous is 26% chance.
Right. Permafrost seems to be, so far, every time I ran it, at least procs pretty consistently. Or like it does. It's not once in a blue moon. Like you get it quite a bit. I haven't ran it a whole lot yet. To really play with it, but I feel like you can get what you're going after in the permafrost mutation pretty easily. So there is that.
Frost Nova's an 8 times. Mary's a 5 times. I think Santa's up there, 8.5. About Frostbitten. Frostbitten's a 9 times. peppermints 5 times. Gingerbread, I think, is also 5. Why, hello there.
Hello.
Jingle Bell is an 8 times. How you feeling?
Awake now, I guess. I don't know when I fell asleep.
You don't even sound awake. Let me answer this and I'll get back to you in a second, Detox. You get Curse Touch Mutation by the Dreamer Rod. It's a passive that the Dreamer Rod has. Not Dream Breaker, but the Dreamer Rod.
Yep, the Great Dreamer.
The Great Dreamer. So I up here for a second, and in need, people crying over the nerf of the North Pole nerf. There is a valid reason as to why, and it's not necessarily just because of the nerf itself. It's because it's becoming a repeating pattern of the fact that obviously these things were in testing first. They knew what the mutations multipliers were. They dropped it into public. They give it a couple of days. They wait for people to do the content and then they nerf it because they want to keep everything under around their precious tryhard. And the only way that people are going to go do their content is if it actually appears like it's going to be worth doing, because half this community won't touch it or thinks it's garbage or trash if it's not better than or around Try Hard and Fabulous. So,
And they're not entirely wrong, though.
and they're not wrong, because that's the way, even when I started, you know how many rods people told me not to fucking get because it's crap, it's garbage, it's trash, and half of them also never did those quests and didn't even realize that those rods tied into the next quest because they required those mutations, because all they did was run around and ask and beg and trade for the shit and didn't actually do it. So they're not entirely wrong, but eventually that's going to backfire on them, and that tactic's no longer going to work, and it's shady as fuck. And I'm not going to be surprised if they nerf it even further, and I'm not going to be surprised if they nerf Asterisk Serenade even more than, I mean, they call it a buff. It was kind of a half buff, half nerf already. Yeah, once it's been out a little longer. Because again, they want people to do the content, but all new content should be better than old content. And people aren't going to do it if it's not worth it. That's where the problem lies.
So they've been relying on their little trick of like, there's something better, at least just as good as, and then they just
3 or 4 days later, now it's dropped.
Yep, now it's
You know
not.
what? On second thought, we changed our mind.
Which
We don't want
again,
something as good.
they already knew their own multipliers and how their shit is in the game. They knew how it was going through testing. There was no reason to then set it into a public, access and then fucking nerf it 3 days later for literally no reason.
Yeah. Maybe I should stop drinking coffee.
They stopped drinking coffee?
Well, I mean, it obviously doesn't keep me awake.
Well, see, here's the thing with that, Brad. The original argument from the community was the quest is the sole reason why it should stay at top, because the quest was so hard to do, and it is literally the easiest quest out of all of the quests that I've ever done to do. Now, when it comes to the rod itself to run, it is the hardest rod to run. However, now with Peppermint, it is not. Firstly, but secondly, why would you want to keep the rod that's the hardest to run at the top? Because at that point it's mostly useless and most people don't even fucking run it. 90% of the people don't fucking run it because it's pretty much useless. On top of that, the ones and a few that can run it, okay, cool. But you're not going to sit there and run around and run it all day long because it's a bitch to run and it's tedious. So when you want something of equal value, and again, any game is usually built
Frozen.
on new content should be better than old content. Otherwise, what is the point of going and doing any new content if it's not worth it and it's all going to be under? Because then that makes none of that worth anything. There's no reason to make any new content, period, if it's not worth a fucking thing.
The only people who are gonna who if you outright make it not as good as the lesser than the old content are completionists, and not every gamer is a completionist.
And see, that's the thing. Like, some quests are easy, the rods are difficult. Some quests, the rods are difficult, the quests are easy, vice versa. And that's where none of that, how the rod works, how the quest is, should technically matter. It's content. It's when did it come out? How does it work? Like, and even if you look at any game that has lasted years, I go to this because it is a well-established game and it's a legit game by a legit studio, and it's been around for 10 years. So I'm gonna look at this for a minute. You go back to ESO for a second. When it first came out, that game A in general was vastly different. It was 10 times fucking harder. You couldn't enter a zone that you weren't decked out for and not get your shit wrecked and die. Like,
And it was a certain level.
it was level caps. But on top of that, each zone, each time they come out with the DLC, no matter what it is, there is always, no matter how much content was in the last DLC, no matter how hard the last DLC was, we're now getting easier and easier and easier and easier and smaller and smaller and smaller DLCs, but each DLC has better content. So the gear that comes out of that content is always better than the last one.
Oh, I'll be back.
Because again, you wouldn't have a player base if your content wasn't better than the last. If you're not keeping people here and giving them a reason to grind out your fucking shit, there's no reason to play a game. It would make sense if you end the game here and the last thing you have is try hard at top. Then fine, that's great, leave it there. Don't make any more fucking expansions. But if you're gonna make expansions, then your expansions need to be worth it. And the items in them need to be worth it. But if they're not, and they appear to be, and then you keep nerfing them, that's sleazy as fuck, untrustworthy as fuck. Nobody can believe a thing that you're fucking saying, and moving forward, you're gonna look shitty as fuck as a studio. Nobody's gonna trust you, and the next game you do is not gonna fucking go or bode well. Like, because nothing you do or say is trustworthy.
No,
Which is already happening within this community, in this game. And then again, your content isn't worth doing because there is nothing of value coming out of it. And no, try hard absolutely is easy, and that's coming from somebody with both osteo and rheumatoid arthritis with my hands, and that day particularly that I completed it was not a good day for me. My hands wouldn't even fit in my gloves, and I still fucking did it. Like, that's not a hard quest. You lose longevity in your game when you don't have better content being released. And you if you're continuously nerfing it every time something does release, then you lose trust and faith in your community.